Hey, this is a review of Waverly Woods Golf Club in Woodstock, Maryland. That is at the intersection of I-70 west of Baltimore 695 and 32, at the top of 32 where it runs into I-70. Just a little bit west of that, actually, maybe 3 or 4 miles on Marriottsville Road, just north of I-70. So the course is bordering I-70 on a couple of holes, and I put in some overview shots here so you could get a good view of the proximity of the course to I-70. As I've mentioned in a few other videos, especially my Blue Match video, that the road noise is really a factor for me during play, and I wanted to try to get an idea, or at least show some context here for that. So there are a few holes, like I believe it's the 9th and 8th holes, that are right next to I-70, separated by a few trees, and they do make a significant amount of noise, and they do affect the play. But it's only a couple of holes, really. Most of the course does stretch fairly far away from I-70 and is pretty quiet. The only real thing I think that I noticed as far as dominating the course were the houses, because there are almost always houses in view from where you are in the course, and they're either left of you or right of you, behind a green or something, but they aren't really close. They're respectively far away. I've seen houses in many courses where the houses are much closer to this. This is more like what I would see, or what I saw at a course like Wyncote, where there was a fair strand of waste between even the rough on the outside of the fairway and the houses, and even then there was OB in the middle of that. And I'm not saying it's like that on every hole. It certainly was not, and certainly some of the holes were no more than 20 or 30 yards from the fairway, and OB was a significant factor, but it wasn't an overwhelming thing, but it certainly was something which, does kind of make your skin crawl a little bit after you've been out there for a while. So I think that the houses are one thing, but I think in general they're not overbearing. They're there, but not overbearing. Certainly you're aware that you're playing in a neighborhood's course, if not a neighborhood's woods course directly. It's a little bit open for that. And I think that if you look at the course layout itself, it's a fairly decent layout. It's got some good verticality. I was only able to take shots over most of the first 9 holes because I got there late and my phone battery was running dead anyway. So even though I had some light, I didn't get the chance to shoot the backside. But there really isn't a lot to see. One of the things that I took away from this course is it really doesn't have much personality. It has some personality. It certainly is not a pushover course. It certainly has good grass, definitely good landscaping. Its greens are nice and big with good action. There's a fair amount of play side to side in terms of the fairway sloping and the greens, and a fair number of the greens have tabletops, and there's a fair amount of waste between the fairways and the greens on a lot of the holes. There's some good uphills. It's definitely not a modest course. I would say it's more of an aggressive course than modest course, but it still leaves you a lot of room around the greens to land. There's some waste to cover in the fairways, and certainly you can spin balls out of play, but it's not like it's super tight. It's receptive to, I think, the casual player, and I wouldn't say that it's all that difficult unless you find it difficult to hit out of the rough, out of the swales on the course. In that regard, it's not going to be an easy course to play. It definitely does require you to have decent control of your attack of the ball and get the ball up in the air and over that waist, not have that, play with your mind or hit shots fat or something like that. So it's definitely a decent hitter's course, reasonably good length. The slope was up in I think it was a 130s, high 130s. But I'll put that in the link to be sure, but this is in the description. But it wasn't a course which I thought was really tough. I thought it was more like a good combination of a course like Marlton, which has some good verticality and some good challenging / intimidating shots, and a course more like Raspberry Falls on the parts where it was more tight, where you didn't have those big wide open spaces to hit to, but you definitely had some area around the greens hit to, and the greens had some serious pop bunkers. So I can give this course a good B. I think it has a few problems in that some of the holes have a little bit too much blind shot action going on to them, especially on the backside. And there's not a lot of holes where the houses are not in view because the woods are so thick. There's a few, but not a lot. And certainly on the back, when you get to, say, 16, 17, you notice the big difference between that and the holes before it and the holes after in terms of the foliage shading you from the houses around the course. So I give it a B, give it a solid B. I think the greens were okay, nothing outstanding, certainly not really great, but playable, puttable. It was wet when I played it, so I can't really say that it was slow because of the greens in and of themselves. It was a little wet when I played, and I just think it was decent. I wouldn't say it was great. I was able to rent clubs there. I was able to get an electric cart, and I was able to get some pretty good views around the course. They have a nice clubhouse that comes out on the back of one of the holes near the green in terms of the patio. And it's not bad. Certainly not bad. I wouldn't say it's cheap. It was more like $50 for a round at twilight during the week. And I just thought it was okay. I certainly would enjoy playing it again, but it wouldn't be high on my list of courses to play. I certainly could see stopping in there once or twice when I wanted to play some golf, after a day or so during the week, or just a random day on the weekend, and having a decent round, having a good round on the course. But I wouldn't say it was something that really I have to play this course again. So a solid B. That's Waverly Woods Golf Course in Woodstock, Maryland, at the intersection of I-70 and Route 32 on Marriottsville Road. Sorry, just north of I-70. Decent course, B rating.